Every day, the world keeps advancing. Numerous technological innovations are being created as we speak to make life easier and more efficient. We as humans continue to do such things to make the world a better place to live. Or is it? Nowadays, people perceive the advancement of technologies in the environment's demise. Because of the rapid modernization, natural resources are also depleting at an incredibly fast rate, destroying the environment, specifically the air, which is essential to the survival of majority of the species here on Earth, including us humans. However, it is not yet too late for us. Indeed, rapid modernization takes a heavy toll in the environment, but it can also be a way to preserve it. So, in this info video, let's all dive deeper on what are the root causes of it so that we may able to refreshen the air we breathe again.
Everywhere humans go, massive ecological changes follow. Habitats are being burned, species are being killed, and environments are being reshaped according to humans' purposes. With all these threats that we bring, it only becomes relevant then to ask, are we not becoming an invasive species for other organisms? Humans have long invented a definition for an invasive species. They define it as a non-native organism that causes harm when introduced to a new local ecosystem. We have already named a countless number of plants and animals to be invasive, but we rarely consider ourselves to be one. Not to mention, we somehow fit the criteria. We disrupt ecological processes, and we are the key cause of pollution that causes harm to native organisms. However, since we are not non-native to our planet, many believe that we do not fit the definition. But even still, we cannot deny that we have by far the most invasive impacts on our planet. In this video, we will talk about the effects of humans on one of the biogeochemical cycles, the oxygen cycle.
What is the oxygen cycle? The oxygen cycle is the cycle that helps move oxygen through the three main regions of the Earth: the atmosphere, the biosphere, and the lithosphere. The largest reservoir of oxygen is the lithosphere. Most of this oxygen is not on its own or free-moving, but part of chemical compounds such as silicates and oxides. So firstly, what is oxygen reservoir? Oxygen reservoirs are literally places where oxygen is stored far below the Earth in the forms of different minerals. While it is estimated that this makes up about 99.5% of the world's oxygen reservoir, little of this ever actually gets released as usable for living creatures or for atmospheric makeup. Next is photosynthesis. Most of the usable oxygen on the Earth comes from photosynthesis. This process is how plants take in energy from the sun to use to stimulate activity within the plant. And lastly, decomposition. When things die and being returned to the Earth, the eventual breakdown of their bodies releases vital nutrients back into the Earth, stimulating growth and regenerating land areas. So, do you get why oxygen cycle is important for us and for our Earth?
Just as how chemicals can contaminate the air, land, and water, invasive plants and animals are also capable of overwhelming an ecosystem. But the impacts are not only limited to these aspects. Invasive species can also affect the air quality and the air abundance of the area they've dominated. Take for example, the water hyacinths. It can decrease the amount of carbon dioxide in the water, thus affecting the supply of CO2 for the native plants. These free-floating invasive aquatic plants can also impede other aquatic organisms as they grow rapidly and form thick layers over the water. These mats shade out other native aquatic plants in the area, preventing sunlight from reaching them, which will then cause them to die. The decomposition process becomes the problem as it decreases the amount of dissolved oxygen in the infested area. Consequently, the high production of organic matter paired with the limited diffusion of oxygen creates a favorable condition for the production of methane. Methane is harmful to the environment as it can cause air pollution and is known to be the main contributor to global warming. The effects of invasive species in the air are mostly indirect, but those impacts are not something to be ignored, because on a large scale, they can cause severe damage not just to the affected area but also to the natural processes that occur in the environment. one of which is the oxygen cycle.
In the last 20 years, there has been a strong reduction in the amount of oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere. The most prominent factor that causes this is deforestation. Tropical rainforests are expected to contain 40% of the Earth's oxygen, even though they occupy just about 6% of the surface. Long-term exposure to polluted air can have permanent health effects and can also cause excessive levels of carbon dioxide to linger, in addition to the reduction in oxygen in the atmosphere, which is one of the biggest greenhouse gases in the near term and would inevitably contribute to higher global temperatures, which will in turn speed up the melting of the polar ice caps, and the air would also be full of airborne particles, which can accelerate the greenhouse problem.
Your genes play an important role in your health, but so do your behaviors and environment, such as what you eat and how physically active you are. Epigenetics is the study of how your behaviors and environment can cause changes that affect the way your genes work. Now, exhaust from cars and trucks is a significant source of outdoor air pollution. When we breathe in high levels of the particles present in the exhaust, these particles can irritate the lungs and cause breathing disorders. Once in the bloodstream, fine particles may lead to inflammation throughout the body. Breathing in these fine particles that have been associated with epigenetic changes may increase the risk of having a disease. So what should we do?
Everyone has some responsibility for reducing air pollution. Real change will not only occur when everyone accepts this responsibility and make a concerted effort. We need leaders who will stand up to polluters and keep refreshing our air we breathe. So, we call for action to not only invest in refreshing and cleaner air, but also in reducing children's and adult exposure to provide better treatment to children with air pollution-related diseases and everyone's overall health to reduce their vulnerability to air pollution.
Ironically, we are affected by the air pollution costs, of which give rise to global warming. This rise is a problem because it is changing the climate faster than some living things can adapt to. Glaciers are melting, sea levels are rising, forests are dying, and wildlife is scrambling to keep pace. It has become clear that humans have caused most of the past century's warming by releasing heat-trapping gases as we power our modern lives. However, just as we have caused an increase in air pollution, so too can we mitigate its effect. So, what is the single best way we can make an impact? By speaking up. Advocate the use of renewable energies, invest in energy-efficient items, practice waste management, stand against deforestation, consume less, and consume smartly. By voicing your concerns, you send an inspiration to others to care about the warming world. We may not observe these effects of air pollution on a daily basis, but guaranteed that few years from now, we will realize the time we wasted overlooking this issue. We benefit from the gifts of this planet, so we must also be responsible in taking care of it. Think of this. If we continue our reckless actions, what could be our future? Or worse, will there be a future waiting for us?